Hello and welcome to part 11 of the Bungalow tutorial series. This is David Ward. When last I left you, we'd gotten in and added in the rest of the textures. We got the ones on the roof and the chimney and all kinds of good stuff. So let's keep going. One thing that I would like to do real quick, I noticed, when we put on the, let's come over the edge split modifier on the front door there, so we could have the nice faceted view on the panels, and then actually have the smooth doorknob with this set smooth. Having been an instanced object, I kind of assumed that it would be applied to all of the doors, but as you can see, it didn't. So one quick easy way to get this modifier onto all of those doors is we'll just select that front door. Make sure that's the one selected. Yes. And also, by the way, let me turn on my screencast. Alt-Z goes directly back to the texture shaded mode. If you just come out, if you just hit Z, go to the wireframe view, and then Z back to solid view, you're like, click, click. That works, but Alt-Z kind of switches between solid and texture view. So anyways, like I was saying, we can select the front door, and then if we go Control-L, we can select, actually Shift-L, we'll select the linked objects, the object's data, like so, and it'll select all of those doors. If we go back to wireframe view, you can see all the doors are now selected. Now, another thing we can do, Alt-Z, is Control-L, and we're going to make links for the modifiers. So now, I just copied all the edge split modifier, or that modifier, to all of these doors just with a couple of clicks. So that's pretty handy. Okay, probably need to do the same thing with the windows here. Go ahead and set those smooth shaded. Yeah, let's go ahead and add the edge split there. Where was it at? There we go. And Shift L to select the linked object data. Control L, modifiers. Boom. Easy as pie. All right. Let's go ahead and save this. Now, like I was talking about in the part 10, we need to get in here and work on the floor. So let's go to our top view and go to orthographic, go to wireframe, and since we've messed with the house, the floor plan is now not centered up, so we can easily put that back, because I want to use it as a guide to, to tell where I'm going to put my carpet and my hardwood floor. I guess I could just leave the actual walls there. Yeah, we'll just do that. Let's turn off that background. If you wanted to line it back up and use that, you just, scoot it down like so, using the XY coordinates here. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the little eyeball there, turn that off, grab my foundation object there, top view, and we're going to tab into edit mode. Excuse me. And we're going to add some divisions where we want the floor to change surfaces. So, like I said, the bedrooms are going to be carpeted, whereas everything else is going to be hardwood floor. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a subdivision, or Control R, and add a loop right there for this wall, so this bedroom can be separated from the living room. And then I'm going to add one here for down the hallway itself. Boom. Then another one on this side for that side of the hallway. Then we'll need to add one for this area right here, right there. And then another one for that little nook area there. It's probably a linen closet. If I turn that background back on, maybe we can see. Yeah, linen closet. Oh, and by the way, this little odd area here, which is not really lined up anymore, but it's a clothes chute. I think I mentioned in part 10 where someone told me about the staircases going up into the attic and then going down to the basement. This clothes chute apparently is where you throw your clothes in to go down into the basement where your washer and dryer would be. So we can mess with that later. For now, we're just going to concentrate on getting the base house constructed. Okay, so now let's do one right there for the closet in here. So let's go to our face select mode and see if we can't select everything. That I guess we'll need to have a separator right there as well. So we need okay. So now face select mode. Boom, boom, boom. Good. That's where the carpet will be, as well as right here. There we go. And then this room. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that's all going to be our carpeted area. Like I said, everything else is going to be hardwood floors. So let's come over here and go to our materials tab. And right now we have brick foundation already set, so let's add another material slot and say new. And we're going to name this one carpet. Okay, go ahead and assign those faces to that material. And I'm just going to give it a different color, just for visualization. I guess it doesn't matter because we can't see it through the roof anyways. But, okay, so that's carpet. And then I'm going to shift, or actually Control I to select the inverse. Let's go to our front view and deselect the side. I just held down Alt and clicked and drug across there. So this is going to be the hardwood floor. Go ahead and deselect this guy right there. And there we go. So we'll go ahead and create a new material slot there. Say new, and we'll call this one hardwood. There we go, and assign. Okay, so now we have our 3 different materials set up on our model. So if I go Shift H, I'm going to hide everything that's not selected, and now we can see where the carpet's going to be. And then let's give the hardwood floor a little bit of a color too, just so we can designate, let's have a visual separation. Okay, so the gray area is the foundation, and then the brown area is the hardwood, and then the tannish, pale tan area is the carpet. So let's jump into the textures.com, and let's find us, get rid of those guys. Let's find us, let's just start with the hardwood since that's the one selected already. And we've got a couple of different options here. It says 4, I only see 3. So let's click on that one. See what it looks like with the seamless. Looks okay, I guess. Let's see, maybe we can find some better ones. Well, let's find out what category that was in. It's in fine wood. Okay. Alright, here's a few different options. Okay, so scroll down here and see what we got. Okay, looks like most of the flooring patterns are up here. Let's see, this is a beach house, so we kind of have, let's go with, let's see what this one looks like. Let's do this one, kind of a nice pale, tan pale, and go. So, okay, so download that guy. Okay, open him up. A little smaller there. Okay, so now I'm going to open with Photoshop. There we go. Let's add a little bit of contrast to it. Zoom in a little further there. Okay, so that's okay. Let's add a little contrast. Image adjustment, brightness contrast. And let's turn on the use legacy. There we go. Alright, so we'll see what it looked like before. Yeah, that's a little better, I think. Yeah. Let's Control-Alt-Shift-S and save that. And we'll call this one wood floor. Okay. And okay, back to textures. And let's see if we can't find a carpet texture. It's going to have that under... You would think that would be under the flooring. Let's go carpet in the search field there. Okay. So we got some different choices here. Don't want it too fancy. It's kind of a typical beige color. Seems pretty popular amongst different places. I guess this will work. Just a standard texture. So we'll go ahead and download that one. Okay, now I want to do a couple of things with this. Not a couple of things, but let's go ahead and open this with Photoshop. And I want to change the color ever so slightly. So I'm going to go to Hue Saturation. Change it maybe a little more grayish. Okay, that'll work. Okay, Control-Alt-Shift-S. Now you don't have to modify your materials if you don't want to. You can just go straight from the source, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call this one carpet texture. That's going to be the texture, and then I'm going to desaturate. Boom. This will be a bump map, and I'm going to change the brightness contrast there. Give it lots of contrast. There we go. Okay. Control-Alt-Shift-S. Save, and this will be carpet. Call it carpet_bump. Okay. So back to Blender. All right. So we got our hardwood selected. Let's go to our textures tab. Say new. Call this one hardwood _texture, and we're going to open up the wood floor. There we go. And let's go to our texture view. And looks like it needs to be rotated. I was kind of envisioning it going lengthwise rather than long ways like so. So another thing we can do under our mapping panel, which we'll have to make it quite a bit smaller. Kind of a weird. Oh, since we had all these subdivisions to it, and we had originally unwrapped the UVs, adding these subdivisions kind of skewed things. So as you can see, our wood texture right through the hallway is really weird. That's because of those subdivisions that we sliced in there and then moved them around. So what we can do is, let's see, is this the one that had, I was going to say, is this one that had the multiple UVs, but I guess that was the house itself. So let's deselect where the foundation part is, and I'm going to go to my top view, and I'm going to go project from view. There we go. And that you can see that evens everything out. Nice and neat. And it makes the boards go the direction I wanted them to go. So good to go. It might be, let's go to our solid view. Let's say it might be too small now, but that looks like, yeah, it might be a little small. Let's make them a tiny bit bigger. Back to our texture settings there. And let's try 3. There we go. It doesn't matter what you put in the Z-axis because it doesn't change anything there. But let's make them a little shinier because they're waxed wood floor. I'm going to go with the Ward ISO. I find that gives you the greatest amount of glossiness. And change the slope way down. Not way down, but like 0.5. And maybe intensity down a little bit, maybe 0.1. So we want it shiny, but we don't want it too awful much. So that kind of looks glossy, doesn't it? All right. So onwards and upwards, let's select the carpet. And while we're in the material settings here, this is not needing to be very shiny at all. So let's do like we did on the bricks. Kind of just make that real low and the hardness real low. And then we can come over to our textures and add a new one. Call this one carpet _texture. Okay, then we'll go and open up our carpet texture. Okay. And as you can see, that needs to be tiled quite a bit. So 5 is actually probably not enough at this point. Let's try 8. That'll probably work. Okay, so I could go ahead and do this again for the bump part, but what I'm going to do is just kind of duplicate what I've already done here. Hit the little black down arrow there, say copy texture slot settings, go to that next slot there, and paste this texture slot settings. And I'm going to click the 2 to make this a separate texture, and we'll call this one carpet bump. So now I can just select the carpet bump right there, open, and then go down here and take it off of color, put it to normals. There we go. We don't have to worry. We don't have to redo the sizing or anything like that. So probably a little bit too bumpy there. So let's make it maybe 0.5, maybe even less than that, 0.1. And it looks like, let's try -0.1. That doesn't quite look right to me. Maybe it was. I don't know. Let's try this 0.1. Okay. And then maybe set the glossiness even further down. Okay, so now we have our carpet and our hardwood floor. So let's go Alt-H. We can zoom in here. And if we make this a little bigger, let's change our camera settings here in our view, if we can. There we go. Set it to maybe 15. That might be too much, maybe 19. Okay, so position, maybe 20. Okay, Shift F, so we can kind of just walk through the house and look at that nice floor. All right, through the doorway and through here. All right, looking good. Bathrooms, all right. All right, looking good. Okay, so let's escape out of there. And kind of running out of time. All right, I was gonna say we're running out of time, but you know what? Let's just keep going. I'm gonna go back to my textures here, and I'm going to put in wood so we can find some nice wood for our trim, and windows and everything. So let's scroll down and find a nice, pretty piece of wood here that we can adjust and make it look like it's painted white. Let's see. This one might work. Let's see if it's tiled. It is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one. And then we'll open with Photoshop. Boom. And I want to, let's add a new layer. And I'm going to paint it white. And then let's change some of the layer styles. I don't know if they'll affect it much with it just being white, because that's kind of like the nothing color in Photoshop. I mean, if it's solid black, it's pretty transparent. If it's solid white, it's, I don't know if that makes sense or not. But let's just go back to normal and maybe usually an overlay can get you a decent type of look, but this is kind of just blowing out the colors now. So let's try screen. Where's it at? There we go. That's kind of just basically just changing the transparency of it. So tell you what, let's just close that layer out. Let's double click on our background to turn it into an actual layer. Then we'll double click on it again to go to our layer styles, and let's add a color overlay. Basically the same thing we were doing, just a white color overlay. And then maybe we can, it's basically the exact same thing, just make it a little lighter. Color dodge might, it's probably not going to work. Color dodge add, no, let's just play with some of these. Might have to rely more on the texture part than the actual color. So we want it to be like it's painted white with just a little bit of that texture. So I don't know, maybe luminosity might work. So let's just say okay. And I'm going to Alt-Control-Shift-S. Okay, we're going to go ahead and save this as trim texture, just like we did with the carpet. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off that effect now, and I'm going to adjust my brightness and contrast. It's got a lot of contrast, and this will be our texture for it. Let's tell you what, let's get rid of all color in it. Let's just go desaturate so it's nice and gray, and then we can add brightness contrast. Okay, so Alt-Control-Shift-S, save, trim, bump. All right, back to Blender, and now we can select our doors and stuff. Hopefully, you know what? Back to Photoshop. Trying to think here. I guess we can still use that. I was wanting a more of a solid color for the doors. But this should be fine. Let's control down so we can see what we're doing here a little better. Okay, So go to new material. We'll call this one door dash trim. Okay. And we don't want it very glossy. We'll set that diffuse all the way up. Set the specular intensity about 0.1 is fine, maybe 20 hardness. And then we'll come over to our textures. Scroll all the way back up. New, call this one door trim. Okay, and open up. Yeah, there we go, trim bump. Open that bad boy up. There we go. And I guess the door doesn't have a UV map on it. So what we can do is change the mapping from UV to, let's just see what generated looks like. Little, this is not good. Object, perhaps? No. Global? No. Normals? No. Tangent? No. None of these really look good. What was that? Reflection. That acts like it's a reflection. So we might look on the doorknob and everything that's metal. Might do something like this for that, but not for the wood itself. So let's just go back to UV, I guess. Tab into edit mode, and let's select everything. Tell you what, tab out of edit mode, Shift H, so we can center that up in the scene. Tab in here, and let's change that lens back to 35 because it's messing with me there. The door frame itself can probably be unwrapped as is. Forgot it was 3 different pieces, which I guess that'll be fine. Let's go ahead and unwrap those. Good. Nice and vertical like I would like. And then maybe that top one. You unwrap. And then let's rotate it 90 degrees so it's also vertical. Getting the wood to go a long ways. As you can see, it's already looking better there. Then the door itself. So let's select the pieces of the frame. Control L and hide those. And let's add in a loop there around the middle of the door. Control E, mark that seam like so. And then we'll need to do the corners or it'll flatten out oddly. Control E, mark those seams. And good to go. So now we can just select everything. The doorknob doesn't need to be here, so we can just go ahead and select pieces of it. Control L, and just go ahead and hide it. The door itself, you unwrap, should be good. Let's get both of them going the same direction. Rotate that 90 degrees, bring that over here, and let's just make these quite a bit bigger. Like so. So what we might have to do with this, since that wood grain is really overpowering, it's because I'm using the bump, and it needs to be the actual texture. So trim texture, there we go. That looks a little better, huh? Okay, yeah, that looks real good. All right, so now, just do like we did on the carpet. I guess it doesn't matter because we didn't actually scale it at all with the mapping, so we can just do all that and add in a new one, new door trim bump. Okay, and then image. This time we use the trim bump. There we go. And not on the influence, but on the normal, or not on the color. And definitely don't want it that bad, so let's make it 0.1 is still quite a bit too much, I think. 0.05, maybe 0.02. Yeah, there we go, 0.02. And since it's painted, we can make it a little glossy. I think I ran that down earlier, but let's run it right back up. Maybe 0.35 perhaps, and then the hardness. Oops, click on there, come on. 0.35, there we go. Hardness, maybe, let's go put it back to 50. Okay, so that'll work. Okay, so we got our door, and hopefully all the other doors, if we Alt-H, all the other doors, good to go. All right, nice, really nice. All right, so select the doorknob, and actually when you're going to a house like this, the doorknob probably is going to be on the other side. You want the door to open that way, so let's fix that real quick. Oopsie, the wrong button. Alt-H, there we go. Select those doorknobs, Control L, move those on the x-axis over to the other side. There we go. And okay, so now we need to make a material for the doorknob real quick. Doorknob. And tell you what, we're already at 25 minutes. Let's save that for part 12. So we'll do the doorknob, and then we'll get in and do the windows, and then maybe the trim on the corners like I mentioned, and also along the eaves and everything. So run out of time for this one. So in part 12, we'll get to the rest of it, and maybe we'll finish up the base modeling of the house, and we can move on to other things later on. So that's going to be it for part 11. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in part 12.